morning. I believe we have Eleanor ringing the bell for us this morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Theodore Parker Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Nancy Wilbur. This year I am co-chairing the Music and Worship Committee with Jennifer Bottomley, and I'm just so pleased to welcome all of you here. Yay! And I'm really pleased to welcome our new minister, Reverend Heather Concannon. Yay! As we enter into worship, we bring with us all of the sorrows and joys of our week. And we know that here we are held in loving community. Here we are reminded that we are a part of something larger than ourselves. Here we seek to counter oppression, to work for healing and justice in a bruised and broken world. Here we invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. For those joining in person, here's a few things you might want to know. Our congregation is now mask optional. If you would like to be seated in an area where others are also wearing a mask, this section on my left is reserved for people wearing masks. About the order of service. To pull one up on your phone, you can scan the QR codes at either entrance, or anyone may take one of the large print copies there. People of all ages are welcome to move about in the sanctuary as they need to, or to make themselves comfortable in this cozy zone in front of the first pew. Children's programming for elementary school-aged kids will begin next Sunday. This morning, our child care provider, Shannon, is available to be with nursery-aged children in the narthex in the back. Many thanks to Joel Neiditz, who is our camera point person today, and to Tom Keitel, who is our Zoom usher. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church or are visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out a connection card, which will welcome you to sign up, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us to welcome you. A link to the connection card is in the chat, as well as our contact information. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill in the contact card you'll find in the pews within the bright yellow pamphlet. I'd like to offer everyone a moment for those joining us remotely to greet those who are joining us in person. So Joel, would you please put our sanctuary screen in gallery view so we can see our off-site congregation? Okay, give each other a big wave and say hello from off-site to those in the sanctuary, and those in the sanctuary to those off-site. As we continue greeting each other, we also want to welcome one another into this physical worship space. We invite you to spend just a few moments greeting one another and saying good morning. You might stand up, ask before you shake hands or give a hug, ask permission to do so, but please greet one another in the sanctuary. And for those of you online, you might want to just put a hello in the chat. If you're online, please greet each other.
Please be seated as the prelude begins. Good morning, everybody. What a joy it is to be with you here this morning. Our opening words this morning are from Reverend Molly Hoosh-Gordon. We gather this morning tenderly, like drops of dew on a leaf of grass, hopefully, like gathered raindrops in a cloud, gleefully, like water rushing in a stream to the sea, deeply, like groundwater pulled up from a well. We gather from every direction for another year of growth and depth, another year of companionship and hope, another year of learning to love this world. We gather like the water that joins across all of creation, the water that connects us within and without, merging and flowing across the entire world. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. The words will be projected up here and are also in your gray hymnals.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
This is the chalice lighting. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And in Spanish, to honor our connection with the city of Las Plazuelas in El Salvador. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Good morning. Well, first, thank you to Cindy and Claire for lighting our chalice, reading our chalice lighting words, and thank you to Nola for helping us light our chalice. You did an awesome job. So my name is Rose, and I have the honor of serving as this congregation's religious educator. What a joy to be back with you all after the summer apart. Most Sundays, I come up here and tell a story, give a message, and then I invite the children of the congregation to come with me through to the parish hall for Children's Chapel, our all-ages religious education programming. But that's going to start next week. This week, the kids are invited to stay for the whole service as we reconnect and regather. You're always welcome to hang out in our cozy corner up front if you want to, grab a coloring sheet, move about, be in the narthex, wherever you need and want to be to enjoy this service, go for it. We're excited to have you here. So we have a very special ritual coming up this morning that Reverend Heather and I wanted to introduce to you all a bit first. It's called the water ritual, or water communion. And it's a distinctly Unitarian Universalist ritual of gathering and reconnection. The very first UU water ritual was held in 1980 at the Women in Religion Continental Convocation of Unitarian Universalists. It was created by two women who were UU lay leaders, Carolyn McDade and Lucille Shuck Longview. If Carolyn McDade's name rings a bell, it may be because she's the author of one of our favorite hymns around here, Spirit of Life. So the first ritual was created, quote, as a way for women who lived far apart to connect the work each was doing locally to the whole. And in that ritual, they brought specific waters from specific sources, including rainwater, the Rio Grande River, in both Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. It's since become one of the most widely celebrated Unitarian Universalist rituals, which I think is a feat in a religion known for its variation and independence. And specifically, it's done in most congregations during this time of ingathering, or returning to regular services in the fall after some time apart. This means that UU congregations all over the country are also celebrating this exact ritual together on this exact Sunday morning. So our shared waters connect all of us here and also connect all of us to the wider interconnected web of Unitarian Universalism. And this, of course, is a particularly special morning for us as we welcome Reverend Heather for her very first service as our newly settled minister. She has a bit to say. She brought some special water with her, which she has a bit to tell you all about.
So as Rose said, the water communion is celebrated by Unitarian Universalist churches across the country. It's something that I grew up celebrating in my childhood church in Leominster, Massachusetts, and it's also something that the church that I served at for the last 9 years, the Unitarian Universalist Area Church in Sherborne, celebrated, and that they're celebrating today as well. So this morning, many of you have brought water, and if you didn't bring water, that's also okay, because we have water for you to share. And we're going to pour it into a collective vessel to symbolize our coming together like many streams. And I think about how we bring so many different parts of ourselves and so many different experiences. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the water that I brought this morning, because this water is the holy water that was collected at past water communions from the Unitarian Universalist Area Church in Sherborne. So I am recognizing that I'm bringing all of my experiences and the ministry that I did there with them to my ministry here with all of you, and watching our congregations kind of connect in that way, right? That I'm thinking about the way that we are all bringing our histories with us when we enter into any moment, right? We're all bringing our past experiences and the places that we've been and the people that we've loved to the moments that we're in. And so this water today symbolizes me bringing that part of my ministry to my ministry here with all of you. And I'm very excited to be here today and share that ministry. And Rose is going to share a little bit about some water that she has.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Thank you. So I also have some special water to add to our collective. This is our congregation's water communion water from last year.
It's from more than last year.
Oh, more than last year.
Actually, on Friday morning, Reverend Ann emailed me, and she said, just so you know, there's a blue ball jar somewhere in the church, and it has water communion water in it. And I said, it's already on the altar. Don't worry. I found it.
Mm-hmm. So years of water in here. No big life forms have grown, but probably some small ones. So we'll be adding this also specifically to the pitcher that is available over here for anyone who didn't remember to bring water with them today, which is totally fine and understandable. This water will be in that pitcher. So when the ritual happens later, you can pour from that pitcher and you'll still be adding to the collective of water. And one other special note about this water and our water communion last year. They're not here today, but I wanted to wish a happy first birthday to, I think, our youngest member of this congregation, Calvin McNabb, was born less than 12 hours after our water ritual last year. His mom, Allison, showed up very pregnant to that first service and sent me an email at, I think, 12:30 in the morning, saying, first I did water communion, and then my water broke. So happy first birthday to Calvin.
I'm going to invite us into a time of meditation and prayer with our centering hymn, Peace Like a River. The words will be on your screen, or it's number 1000 in the blue hymnal.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
Please be seated. And as we enter into a time of meditation and prayer, I invite you to, whether you're joining us in the sanctuary or at home, to feel the seat beneath you, to feel the gentle gravity of the earth holding you up, to take a few nurturing breaths as we give ourselves over to this time of stillness. Holy One, Spirit that moves among us and between us, we gather in community because we know that we need one another. We know that we need one another to survive, that just like water, community is essential to life. Holy One, help us to remember that the merging of the streams of our lives into the collective river of community, that merging is a sacred thing. Help us to remember that our lives are nourished by one another, that we depend on one another for our very survival. Spirit of love and connection, may we remember the sacredness of our interdependence, and may we seek to build a world that honors that interdependence, a world where all are held in care and in community. May it be so, and amen. We now enter into several moments of shared silence, followed by musical meditation.
Thank you, Heather and Michael. Generosity is a spiritual practice in our Unitarian Universalist congregations, and people here are generous in a million ways, all kinds of ways. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given, and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment right now, writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. And we will be singing O River by Mammoose.
Finding my way, finding my way, finding my way, finding my way, finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding
friends, don't they sound fantastic? So there is a picture of me at 3 years old, standing on the man-made dam that separates Beaver Pond from Otter Lake at Greenfield State Park in Greenfield, New Hampshire. My mom, 8 months pregnant with my younger sister, is holding my hand, and I, of course, am holding a net. As a child, I loved this pond. It was perfect for catching frogs and salamanders and minnows, and my family went camping at Greenfield State Park most years throughout my childhood. There are other pictures here, too, throughout the years. My sister and I, with our dad, walking on the beach, maybe 4 and 7, again, with a net. And there's moments not captured on film. That time in my early teens when my mom and I woke up at dawn to try to catch a glimpse of the beavers at work. We didn't see any beavers, but we did instead see a hawk fly within arm's length of us, where we had been silently sitting for half an hour with our hot tea. I visited Greenfield State Park only a few times as an adult. The most recent being a few years ago at a minister's retreat, when I was at the retreat center across the lake. And one afternoon on a break, I canoed across the lake, which looked like I remembered it, but it also didn't. When I arrived on the shore of Greenfield State Park across the very small lake, I noticed that a grate had been built to channel the stream between the two bodies of water. What was once a clear little tributary where I used to catch fish was now well on its way to a transformation into a marsh with cattails taller than I was. And the frogs, once abundant, were much harder to spot these days as global temperatures rise. Saplings had grown up and large trees had died and were decomposing. I realized I had never before been there in the autumn as I canoed on this pond surrounded 360 degrees by New England fall foliage. It was different than I remembered, and still it was beautiful. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "No person steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and they are not the same person." Actually, let's be honest, Heraclitus said man, but I took the liberty to update. When I think about a body of water that I have watched evolve over decades, I think about when I visited that pond as a young adult in my early 20s, and a devastating summer of spongy moth caterpillars, formerly known as gypsy moth caterpillars, had left countless trees bare, and how bereft I felt at the dead trees surrounding the pond, and how now, a decade later, the evidence of that blight was fading away. It's a powerful thing to be able to witness the slow unfolding of nature's evolution. And yet, the pond is still there, the water a constant. And I wonder, is it the very same water I swam in as a child? Or has the water cycle evaporated all of the water from 30 years ago and deposited entirely different molecules coming from countless sources across the world? Is it a new pond? Is it new water? Or is it one continuous flow? No person ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and they are not the same person. As we gather together today in community, my first Sunday with you as your newly called and settled minister, I think about how this congregation, founded in 1712, must have seen so much change over the years. Friends, can you imagine 1712? Before this country was founded, wars and technological advances, so many changes in how society functioned, what rules and expectations of the culture are, the fight for abolition and civil rights, pandemics, social upheavals, how much change this congregation has seen in its 300 plus years. And the thing that astounds me when I start thinking about the longevity of historic congregations like this one is that much like a river, the flow is constant. Right? There are people in this congregation who were here in the 80s, right? And they must have known people, and they must have been in community with people who were here in the 60s. And those people must have known people who were here in the 20s, et cetera, all the way back. I think about this continuity of connection, right, of all of the people through this congregation's history, all the way back to this congregation's founding. All of the people who labored and loved this congregation. And like a river that evolves over time, it is both a continuous flow and it is an entirely new river. As new tributaries meet up and winds and erosion and flooding shapes the flow, as the water is carried onward toward the sea. And these words ring true as we think about the river of community as well. We never step into the same river twice, because it is not the same river and we are not the same people. Because we, too, are always changing as we learn and grow up and age, and life happens and the world evolves. We are always being changed by being in relationship. And our presence changes, and our presence in a community changes that community. As science fiction writer Octavia Butler writes in her novel, The Parable of the Sower, all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. All that you touch is you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. It is a beautiful and scary and sacred thing. The fact that we are always changing, always growing, always becoming the next version of ourselves, always bringing who we were and who we are into the next moment, into who we become. Our lives an ever-changing, ever-overlapping, ever-flowing stream, and each of our separate streams merging and mingling and changing and influencing one another for whatever time we might flow along in the same river. So friends, as we gather together in this community this September, let us bring all of who we are and all of who we have been to all that we are becoming. As the streams of our lives and the long, long river that is the life of this community both changes and remains constant, as we change it and it changes us. And may we remember that that flow, that becoming, is a beautiful and sacred thing. May it be so, and amen. So friends, it is now time for our water communion ritual. And as we welcome one another back into church and back into community, we share this ritual that many Unitarian Universalist churches share on this day, at the beginning of the church year, this ritual of water communion. So each year we invite those in attendance to bring water from places or experiences that are special to us. And it is my practice to make the water that we collect into our congregation's holy water. And as Anne reminded me, it is this congregation's practice as well. And the water becomes our holy water by our shared intention and our blessing it together, because we make it so. Each of us bring our separate experiences to community, and we choose to share them here. So like many streams, oh, we're so ready, I'm so excited. Like many streams forming larger rivers, we use this holy water to bless babies, to bless one another through the year, to represent the fullness of life and our interconnectedness. So if you did not bring water with you today, that's okay. As we said in our message for all ages, we have a pitcher here that you can use from last year's water, and you can pour we'll connect the history and the present into one shared bowl. But if you did bring water, I invite you to come forward. Regardless, if you're here, I invite you to come forward. So I invite you to come forward and share a word or two. Rose and I will have microphones. Share 1 or 2 words about what the water means to you. Not where it came from, but a word describing the experience and meaning that this water holds. The experience and meaning that this water holds. The blessing that you want to pour into our shared holy water. And if you are joining us on Zoom, I invite you to find some water wherever you might be and meditate on the ways that that water in front of you has molecules that have traveled throughout the universe, connecting those of us here with those of us joining on Zoom across time and space. And if you'd like, and you're on Zoom, you may also add a word or 2 of blessing that will be added to our congregation's holy water. So I invite us to come down the side aisles toward me and Rose. We'll be holding the microphones, and then back down the middle aisle. Our water ceremony will now begin.
This is Quabbin water, which has nourished me all my life, and I hope continues to do so.
This represents the beach where my family loves to be.
This represents beauty in my garden.
The water that's so important to our lives and all living things in the earth.
This is the water that I water my vegetables and flowers with.
This is the water that represents all the rain we've had this summer.
This is my holy water.
This is the water that represents the joy of being here with everyone.
This water represents a lifetime of summers.
This is water that brings birds to my backyard.
Joy of music.
A little drop filtered through my compost.
It's all good. You can put it in. It doesn't.
Life.
This water I've been in all my life, and it's the headwaters that go into Bashbush Falls and down, ends up in the ocean.
A great book, The Covenant of Water.
Collected rainwater, which represents the beauty and power of rain.
As the water protectors say, water is life.
Community.
This water's from my home sanctuary brought into our community sanctuary.
A thread for our grand fabric.
Sometimes I give, sometimes I take. Today I'm taking from community.
This water is reconnection to the church for me.
This water is about returning.
This water is hope and growth.
This water connects generations.
This water represents good travels, my backyard, and I'm glad that it runs down into the sewer system.
This water is from a place south of here where we have many friends.
This water is about the sustaining of our lives, all of us.
This water represents healing.
This water symbolizes new beginnings.
This water represents my love for this congregation.
This is for a new community.
This water represents connection, community, and home.
This water represents cuddles and cats.
This is the water of forgetfulness.
This water represents community and connection.
Water from local parks.
Flow and fun.
A chance to see the dolphins swimming up the Jersey coast.
Family and change.
This water represents change, like life. It's always changing.
This water represents us opening to each other.
Water represents our coming back to the church and how happy we are.
This water symbolizes community in the new church year.
New beginnings and family.
This water represents home.
This water is from my neighborhood.
Cleansing, especially hand washing.
This represents my gratitude that when I turn on the tap, water comes out.
This water is for my nephews and their families in Denver who represent just how sweet people and how sweet life can be.
This water represents the beautiful water off of Lahaina, Maui.
This water represents the connections among us all.
There's at least a molecule of the Kennebec in here. This water represents fun times with youth in Maine.
This water is for peace.
Following John Lambert, I have to say youth group, whitewater rafting trips, and family.
This water, I'll let you hold it, represents renewal and nourishment.
This water represents the first grade and doing homework every night starting tomorrow.
Water that is too often a privilege.
The water represents my joy in my newfound community and my opportunity for growth.
Gratitude, in particular, for memories of voting the East Coast with family and friends.
Este agua significa las lágrimas y los sueños de nuestra comunidad y todo el mundo.
And this water represents the merging of streams. And we're going to see if we have any in the chat.
Some of the water we're symbolically pouring from the chat, maybe with this water. This has been used, is Tom shares water for renewal. Sheena shares water for peace. Mary Boyle shares water for health. Mary Russell shares water for joy. Tom shares water for starting again. Jessica Mink shares rainwater from yesterday's storm. And Dean shares water for animals who also we need to keep it clean for me, and I'll keep it clean for you, is what Dean writes. The waters gathered here today come from so many sources. Rivers and lakes, far away oceans, and the great Quabbin Reservoir from which we get our tap water. They combine here together as we do in community. Messily, imperfectly, beautifully. As we close out our water ritual with this blessing of our water, may we remember that hazy, speckled water is just as holy as clear water, and that while we celebrate this water in symbolic ways, it is also, in its very being, the source of all life, the elemental substance that flows through all. For all that we love and hold sacred, we bless this water, and we bless the vibrant life of our community. May it be so.
And our closing hymn is number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join singing. Thank you. Please be seated. I have a few announcements and invitations. The first is that this afternoon we are having a very special welcome back coffee hour, so please join us next door in the parish hall, and I will be standing over here to say hello and good morning. Some other invitations, if you are joining us on Zoom, we invite you to stay on Zoom and join the breakout room. We'll have a couple of minutes for you to say hello on Zoom as well. Next week, we've got a couple of very special things happening. The first is that Children's Chapel resumes, so we hope to see our kids here this next week and joining us for Children's Chapel, joining Rose for Children's Chapel. And then next week, during worship, before the kids go to Children's Chapel, we are having a very special, I believe first time backpack blessing at TPC. So, if you have a backpack or a bag, or anything, a diaper bag, anything that you bring with you to places in the world, a purse. If you would like to bring your bags to church, we will bless them, especially if you are going back to school this year. So if you are going back to school, this is a fun ritual where we get to bless the things that we bring with us into the world, right? We all go out into the world. We leave this congregation. We go out into the world. We go places. We do things. And it is so nice to have a reminder that we carry our faith tradition and our values with us when we go out into the world. So of all ages, not just kids, if you have a bag or a backpack that you would like to bring and get blessed, please bring it next week, the 17th. And I think those are our last announcements for today. We are going to close with words from Reverend Peter Spillman Rabel. We build on foundations. He writes, we build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know, and we are ever bound in community. This is as it should be. Together we are more than any one person could be. Together we can build across the generations. Together we can renew our hope and faith in the life that is yet to unfold. Together we can heed the call to a ministry of care and justice. We are ever bound in community. May it be so. Amen.